So what do we got on today? I reckon we go down to the venue, check out SaaStr, see what's happening in terms of talks, and then we've got a chat lined up with EJ from Tofu. It's a marketing platform that does personalisation at scale for companies. So yeah, keen to see what his take is on AI and everything that's going on at the moment.
Nice, sounds like a good day.
Okay, this is my guess.
Thanks for chatting, EJ. We're just in the Bay Area trying to catch up with folks who, in the go-to-market space, building companies. We're obviously from New Zealand, coming over here and absorbing some of the sort of AI hype and seeing how people who've been doing it for a while are doing it in the Bay Area. Keen to hear about what is Tofu and what's your background and the origin story of the company.
Yeah, first of all, you're at the right place at the right time. Kind of crazy what's happening right now with all the AI advancements. So Tofu is a B2B marketing platform. We use agents and AI to really help teams create campaigns effectively across different channels. So think like your emails, your landing pages, really creating like personalized versions of those that's really tailored to your customer segments, either one-to-few or one-to-one. And we do that at scale. And the big differentiator we have is we integrate with different platforms that you might already have, like HubSpot, Marketo, Salesforce, different CMS and so forth. Mm-hmm. And we've been really effective in helping teams launch these integrated campaigns, leveraging all these new AI technologies within their existing stack. So that's kind of been a big kind of focus for us over the past few years. My background, I love building products. My first job was at Google. Back in 2013, 2017, I was there for 4 or 5 years. Of all things, I was training language models back then. These were before they were called large language models. We thought our models were the largest, but they were not called LLMs at that point. But it's kind of crazy to see how much things have changed and having so many applications with language models. So it's been exciting. My journey on this startup with Tofu, I have one of my co-founders, Hongwei, that I knew at Facebook, so I always wanted to do a startup with him. Elaine, I got to know through a mutual, and I was just chatting with you earlier on how that genesis moment with ChatGPT in the end of 2022 really enabling a lot of rethinking how people think about campaigns, content at scale. Yeah. So that's kind of the wedge that we started with, and that's how we've grown.
So you're right there, sort of starting as the AI boom was kind of starting, as the hype started. Yeah. Do you feel like that was the right time to be starting?
Absolutely. Well, funny you say that. I think for every new technology wave, there's so much you can fundamentally rethink how your product works based on that new technology. So for example, if you had started before ChatGPT came out, you might have some AI thing that you have in your product, but it's not really generating new content from scratch that's on brand. Mm-hmm. But now that was suddenly possible, and it's really hard to build a product and then reimagine it 2 years down the road when you have customers or whatnot. So to answer your question, I do believe that was the right time. However, we're now seeing that huge leaps every 1 or 2 years, right? Now there's another set of capabilities that were not possible before. And I think every company has to go through this wave of reimagining what their interface interaction with their customers look like to be as seamless as possible and get the ROI the customers are expecting. So yes, it was the right time. However, I think we have to rethink again now.
Do you think you had a head start by the work you did with language models at Google?
I think it's always important to know two things. One is the market and what the market wants, and then understanding where the technology is heading to merge that with a solution that is ideally better. And I think our founding team had that. I had really understanding of language models and how the technology would advance. Elaine, my other co-founder, she has background in marketing, so she really understood what the pain points and the needs are from the marketer standpoint. So merging those, I think, was quite powerful. So yes, I do think it was helpful.
Yeah.
And what's the latest sort of wave that you guys are jumping on board? I think like there's the move. Like early days, it was just like, you know, LLMs, and now it's moved to the agentic has been like everyone's got to have an agent in their business. But are you seeing like another phase of the AI sort of wave emerging at this point?
Absolutely, and arguably larger. And I think the most fundamental difference is now people can do work that are more long running and expect that to come back. And it's like, that's more from a technical landscape. But what that means is traditionally, if you want to do work, let's say something as simple as I want to build a list of customers that I want to target, right? What would you do? You go to Apollo or some kind of list building tool, like go to the UI, find the section, like click the filters, do that. You do a review of all the things that came back, right? But how would you do it if you had an employee? You would say, hey, Jake, like, can you do that? And he or she will go do that. But now you almost interact with the agent as you would do an employee and say, hey, can you like build me a list? I'm gonna do an event this next week and I need to invite like 50 CMOs in this location. So no longer are you going to some UI, like figuring out what to do and clicking stuff. You're just saying it like you would do to a normal employee. And the expectation is that they will do it.
Yeah.
And like, are we there yet? I think we're about 60, 70% there. And for certain things that are more short running tasks, it's achievable, but you can kind of see how this expands. Now you have agents like browsing the web autonomously, so it can do more complicated tasks and things that human could do with a computer just as well. And I think that fundamentally changes businesses. We were talking about headless a little bit, on me not having to have an interface to do the work. I think there'll still be an interface for me to review the work, but me to initiate the work, I'll just say it. So I think that changes a lot of the fundamentals.
And with all the noise and activity going on with AI at the moment, do you feel most sort of pressure from other startups who can move really quickly with AI, or bigger incumbents like platforms like HubSpot, which can build Tofu-like features on top of them, or even from like base layer model providers?
Probably the last. I think there's the argument that, you know, OpenAI and Anthropic, just because this huge operational layer, and there's all these headless maybe skills and tools that they integrate with. They're also really pushing heavily on forward deployed as well for these large companies, because they're realizing, oh, for you to do enterprise penetration, you still have to understand their core business logic, you need change management. So they're like deploying this like army of like consultants and like forward deploy engineers to build custom, like, I don't know what they're doing, but I assume some kind of skills or like, you know, integrations with their existing workflows to really bring AI into these enterprise problems. So like, I think everyone's keeping an eye on those, less so about like the startups. Like, we're all in the same like starting line. I think we're trying to figure that out. But I think the big question is like how some of these larger foundational models go more into the application layer. So I think that's the biggest question. And I think one reason that's happening, by the way, is, you know, we saw this initial like emergence of this technology that can do such great stuff with the foundational models. And then I mean, like with all these benchmarks, yes, like they seem like improving, but underlying all the past 2 years of advancement has been more of the harnessing of these foundation models and how to like use that to do like long running tasks, like keep the context. The actual underlying foundation models haven't necessarily, I think, dramatically improved. So I think what's happening is these foundational models, like, well, if we're not going to get to true AGI, we've trained on all the models out there on the web that's possible. There's no new fundamental new architecture that besides language models, transformers that we have found yet. What are they going to do? They're going to just keep pushing to the applications. So I think that's one of the things that we're seeing with like cloud co-work, like cloud design, and now these big companies pushing these whole forward deploy engineers to do enterprise penetration. It seems like that's the new big area that they're trying to invest in.
With your product, like personalization within that product, and that's so much easier in this world of AI. Do you feel like the effectiveness of personalization is kind of declining? I'm talking to a lot of go-to-market leaders at the moment who are seeing like their more cold outreach kind of channels just becoming less effective because the bar is so low for people to be able to do passable personalized experiences. Do you feel like that's gotten harder for you?
I think there's two things here that is kind of related, but not exactly the same thing. There's one around channels. email as a channel, I agree, it's getting saturated. It always was saturated. As soon as actually outreach and the sales off of the world came in and was helping like SDRs do mass outreach, like the email, there's actually data showing like from 16%, like 15% open rate to plummet to 5%, 6%.
Seen that in a couple of businesses.
And now there's even more with all these AI SDR tools that just says, we'll just replace your whole SDR team and we'll do everything end to end. And now it's going to plummet even more. Traditionally, I think, so there's that on the channel. So like email as a channel, I think is getting saturated. Will it go away? I don't think so, because it's the always free channel that's accessible to everyone. Inbox is still somewhat of my holy grail that I have access to, and like having access to everyone's inbox, right? So I think people will use that. I feel I've heard this phrase where people think of email less of a conversion channel, more of an impression channel. So it's just like you're sending ads. You're just letting them know, like top of mind, even if you don't open it, like, oh, like Tofu, like
this company exists.
So it's like a free ad in some sense. So almost people are thinking about that, which basically boils down to still not being as effective as a channel as it used to be. So there's that, which I agree. The second thing is around personalization. Now, personalization, there's two reasons why personalization used to work. One is it's doing something, saying something that's relevant for you. Like, yes, I have that pain point. Like I just had a job change and I need to rethink my go-to-market stack. So yes, I am interested in a solution if you have something for that. And the second is knowing the fact that that person did some research on you, right? There is that human element. It's like, oh, okay, this is just not another spam email. Like, oh, they looked up about me, they heard about me. So there's those two things around personalization. The second one has gone away now. Because now no longer, just because it's personalized, I felt that person did a lot of research on me. Because I have no idea. Because like so easy to do. However, there's a question on whether the first one is still relevant though, right? Like, okay, I know that it's probably an AI, 50-50, I don't know. But actually, perfect timing. I was looking for a new CMS because my workflow was not working. So if you're able to, personalization is more than personalizing the copy. It's like about the right timing, the right segments, like who actually needs this and being able to understand that. I don't think that will ever go away. So my point is like, if you have you're able to capture the right set of customers that have the right intent. By the way, marketers have been doing this for ages. It's all about like segmenting their customers, who is your ICP, different verticals, have different messaging. They would bucket them to different personas, different industries, and have different messaging for them. It was just so manual back then. Now you can do it at scale. So the relevancy part of personalization, I don't think will ever go away. Now we'll still be not as effective because again, email as a channel is like saturated. There is a point there, but I think that's still what I think is valuable to a lot of people. A lot of the stuff that I see on the web is AI generated or is automated, but if it's the right timing, the right thing, I will take that call.
Oh, super interesting to get your take on things. And thanks for chatting with us. Keen to go grab some lunch. We're only eating Mexican food while we're on this trip, by the way, so it has to be tacos. We're flexible.
So how did you find the yarn with EJ?
Yeah, it was good. I think it's good hearing from other founders in terms of their thoughts on, basically all models and stuff like an AI kind of taking over what their business is doing. This is something that you hear as a founder. I think all founders are hearing that potential objection. So it's nice to know it's not a unique thing. I guess a lot of
he didn't seem worried about it though. It seemed to him like there was enough moat in being in the application layer and specializing in a particular area that while Anthropic is nipping in everyone's heels, he still wasn't that concerned, I don't think.
Yeah, I think as he said, like if the models can do that, then everyone's screwed. Like
the world goes away.
Jobs for an AGI, it's a later problem.